Chapter 4, States of Consciousness. Please remember that some of these sections will not correspond exactly with that of the OpenStax 2E psychology text. Your immediate awareness of thoughts, sensations, memories, and the world around you represents the experience of consciousness. American psychologist William James proposed that the subjective experience of consciousness is an ongoing river or stream of mental activity, always changing but perceived as unified and unbroken. In the late 1800s, the first psychologists tried to determine the nature of the human mind through introspection, verbal self-reports that tried to capture the structure of conscious experiences. At the turn of the 20th century, many of the leading psychologists rejected the study of consciousness, emphasizing instead the scientific study of overt behavior, which could be directly observed, measured, and verified. Beginning in the late 1950s, many psychologists again turned their attention to the study of consciousness because a complete understanding of behavior was not possible without considering the role of conscious mental processes and because new, more objective ways to study conscious experience had been devised. Today, the scientific study of consciousness takes into account the role of psychological, physiological, social, and cultural influences. Biological and environmental clocks that regulate consciousness. Circadian rhythms are the cyclical daily fluctuations in many different biological and psychological processes. This cycle is roughly 24 hours long. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN, is a tiny cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus in the brain that governs the timing of circadian rhythms. Sunlight entrains or sets the SCN. That is, sunlight and other bright light detected by visual receptors and processed by the SCN suppress melatonin levels, whereas decreased light increases the production of melatonin, a pineal gland hormone that produces sleepiness. Under free-running conditions, marked by an absence of all environmental time cues, people drift toward the natural rhythm of the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is roughly a 25-hour day, and the people's circadian rhythms lose their normal synchronization with one another. When people leave free-running conditions, sunlight resets the biological clock within days, and their circadian rhythms become synchronized again. You experience jet lag when your circadian rhythms are drastically out of synchronization with daylight and darkness cues. Symptoms include physical and mental fatigue, depression or irritability, and disrupted sleep. In addition, thinking, concentration, and memory become fuzzy. People who work night shifts or rotating shifts often suffer from jet lag symptoms.